Here are some more insights, and what's motivated me to put these out here is this little sidebar from your book, where they are very much correct in some of the recommendations and advice, but some of it really could use some refinement. So, for instance, they're saying always seek feedback about forecasts, always compare past performance of various forecasting methods, and then pick a method or decide on your final forecast by combining those methods, and always use multiple measures of forecast accuracy. These are absolutely very much what you should be doing always. But they also seem to have this insistence that quantitative methods are better than qualitative methods, which is not necessarily the case. It very much depends on the context. It very much depends on the people who are making the qualitative forecast, how well trained they are, how well informed they are. So forecasting remains an art in a sense, and what you have to do is pay a lot of attention to the environment that you're making the forecast in, and try to bring in multiple viewpoints and multiple tools, and then just sit down with as many people as possible and compare the forecasting tools and the forecasts that have resulted to come at some kind of an understanding of the various possibilities that are out there. One very good piece of advice always is switch to range forecasting. This is an article about a specific company that had forecast that its sales was going to be $1.9 billion during a period of time. And when it turned out to be $1.8 billion instead, it caused havoc in how they were viewed in the industry. And this is probably because it's possible that they meant 1.9 plus or minus so much, but certain audiences heard this as 1.9 is absolutely the worst we are going to be. So to avoid that kind of misunderstanding, and also as a good way to bring together multiple tools and multiple opinions, it's always a good idea to say, our forecast is going to be about in this range. So we're expecting something in this range, and then have a conversation on, are you going to target for the middle of that range or for the worst case scenario, or what you want to be doing. The best forecasting advice for business people I ever heard came from Paul Saffo some years back, and it was put together in a nice long talk and also summarized in this article, and it's called 6 Rules for Effective Forecasting. I particularly like it that the title said 6 rules of accurate forecasting and crossed out the accurate and corrected it to say effective forecasting, because it's not about accuracy. You can be right just that once. It is about, are you doing this with the correct methodology and the correct mindset? Can you justify the tools you're using? And are you using forecasting not as some kind of prediction, reading a crystal ball, assuming that the future is a given and you're just trying to read it right? But instead of that, are you using forecasting the way it should be used, with the understanding that the current situation is in flux, the future very much is in flux, and the job of forecasting, especially longer range forecasting, should be to draw what Safa calls the cone of uncertainty. So the thing to do is to, again, sit down with a variety of experts and keep yourself open, read a lot, watch a lot of news and expert opinions, and try to come up with this way of looking at the future of what is likely to happen, what is less likely to happen, what maybe is something called a wild card. Not terribly likely to happen, but if it did happen, might cause a huge impact. And try to come up with these different scenarios. And then this cone of uncertainty, as you can see in Sappho's favorite example, which is robotics, you kind of go over a timeline of right now this is where we are with robots. On the one hand, there is the Defense Department's challenge, in response to which computer science departments across the nation have created robots that are driving themselves across the desert and racing each other. On the other hand, you have home robots that are for cleaning and so forth that people are naming and adopting like they're some kind of a pet. So his cone of uncertainty based on this event of there will be a Steve Jobs, if you will, of robotics. There will be an entrepreneur who will take this in one direction or another, and the direction might be more entertainment related. It might be more application related. Which robot will take off very much depends on what the society will be paying more attention to back then, what the people will be more ready for back then, as well as what the technology will be up to at that point. So you put in some items that are more likely, maybe shorter range, and then you put some more potentials out there, some things at the very edge of your cone, and say, this could happen and I should keep my eye on this and keep reading about this, but it may not happen immediately. Sappho's second piece of advice also relates to that, and he wants us to recognize the fact that there is an S-curve, especially in technology, but also in changes in tastes, changes in societal events. There is an S-curve where early on, we as linear thinkers, we see something coming down the line and we say, hey, by the year 2000, cars will be driving themselves. By the year 2010, we will have perfect voice recognition on computers. So we tend to overestimate because we see something happening and we think it's going to happen linearly fast. Whereas even in Silicon Valley, almost any idea takes about 20 years to go from that initial bright-eyed conception to actual commercialization and being out there as a product. So the trick is to sense where that inflection point happens, where all the different developments are coming together. There are multiple needs emerging for a product at the same time that there are multiple technologies to fill that need, finally reaching a level of maturity. And again, you just do research and you keep yourself open and you try to see as many indicators as possible that you then pool. And if you're good at this and you see that inflection point just before it happens, we invest very heavily in this. And then other people jump on board after that S-curve turns, and because they are not quite as fast as you in reaching the market, they're underestimating at that stage how fast it's going to grow from there on, and you capitalize. So this is as important a qualitative forecasting tool as any I can give you, paying attention to these S-curves and trying to be open to seeing those indicators and when they cluster together. The other recommendations that Sappho has is to look for little things that seem to be breaking patterns. Do not say, oh, poo-poo, that's just an exception. Look to see if it is part of a cluster of indicators. When you do come up with an extreme opinion, or when you do come up with an idea that something's going to happen fairly soon, hold that weakly. Hedge your bets. Try to invest in a couple of different things at the same time, so if you are proven to be wrong, you do not go completely belly up. If you're trying to do projections into the future and you're looking for similar events in the past, look back far into the past. Do not just look at the very recent past. A very good example of this was that people are now saying the second Iraq war was more like Vietnam than it was like the first Iraq war. And then know when to say, I just don't know enough about this. Things are changing too fast for me. I need additional information. I need an expert opinion. I am not qualified to make a forecast right now.